What's up, residents? It's Lord DangerVille here, and I'm here with...
Oh, you're here with me.
Hello, me.
Otherwise known as Jacob, I guess, here. So, what's up, everyone?
Today, we're going to talk about something that we all love, and that's Godzilla. And that's the fact that there's a new Godzilla film coming out next year, which is very soon.
Yes.
And it's not just any other... Godzilla film like the recent legendary ones. This one's actually made by Toho, so the
original
grandfather of everything Godzilla, the OG Godzilla makers.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about what we want to see in it.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to talk about, because, this is their first movie since Shin Godzilla, which was, 2015, 16 range?
2016, yeah.
So we're going on...
6 years ago-ish?
Yeah, it's not quite a decade, but, we're pushing a decade since Toho's, put out anything, and, recently the only thing they've put out are the anime series little things on Netflix, which we all know. We all know how we feel about those. So this is exciting to get another, actual live-action movie that's hopefully good. I like Shin Godzilla. A lot of people kind of question it, but I think that's just because they don't like the design of Godzilla. So Toho showed that they're capable of making, a new-age, modern Godzilla movie with Shin Godzilla. So I'm just excited to see this one. And I'm even more excited than I was for Shin Godzilla because the setting of this new movie, from what we know, the little bit of information we have, it's right after, the bombs dropped.
Ad break. Out of my way, putrid raptors! I'm Lord Alastair of DangerVille. I'm here to tell you about established titles. Have you ever wanted the title of Lord or Lady? Well, Established Titles is a project based on historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords or lairds. Well, Established Titles invites you to buy as little as 1 square foot of land in order to give yourself the title of Lord. Hopefully you don't encounter the same issues as me, as I picked a plot of land right by where velociraptors are being bred. The project is part of conservation efforts, which means for every plot of land sold, Established Titles plants 1 tree, making it the perfect gift for a friend, a loved one, or someone that just really likes trees. Just use your coupon code DANGER10 to get 10% off and become a lord or lady today. Like me, I am Lord Alastair of DangerVille. A raptor? Get out of here, you swines! The everything that I've heard about this has made me more excited than I did for Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
And right now I'm more excited for it than the upcoming MonsterVerse film, mainly because we know so little about what even is going to happen in Godzilla vs. Kong Origins, if that's what they're going to call it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of I'm rolling on all this information we've got for what's rumored to be titled Godzilla Zero, because it sounds like it's going to be proper scary, back to its roots, post World War.
Yeah, it's like a spiritual
stuff.
successor to the original Godzilla. Now, it's not like a sequel. It's not a part of the timeline of any of the established Godzilla timelines.
It's a standalone, essentially
a standalone
a remake
thing. Yeah, it's pretty much just a remake on the original, the original Godzilla. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see where that can go. With modern technology.
Yeah, it's directed by Yakashi Yamazaki, who directed the Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2 film, and in the beginning of that, they have a scene with Godzilla invading Tokyo, and it was a dream sequence, but it was absolutely beautiful. It was kind of set in
Godzilla,
yeah, it was kind of set in I think the 50s, 60s-ish time, at least in the dream sequence, and it was mayhem, it was carnage, and it was the first time since 1998 where Godzilla had been portrayed with CGI, true to what the design of the originals are. But it was really cool. I remember rewatching that time and time again when I was younger.
Yeah, no, definitely. It showed a cool, like a classic take, but with modern technology. And so that's cool to see. We got that with Shin Godzilla, but the Shin Godzilla's design is just so stiff, so I think this new one we're going to get is actually going to be much more of a cool hybrid. I feel it's going to be almost as cool or as intense and mobile of a Godzilla as Legendary's Godzilla. but like it's gonna have more of like the classic, probably, you know, upright stance and a little bit more Toho vibes going on. So I'm excited to see.
Well, here's the thing:
a new
do
Godzilla.
you want Godzilla to be the only monster in the film, or do you want it to be a fighting match again, like the classics? Because I think we've had a lot of these Godzilla movies with Godzilla on his own, especially like Shin Godzilla, and I'm kind of conflicted because I love them. They're like my favorite kinds of Godzilla films, but at the same time, after seeing this Godzilla versus Gigan Rex and the Gigan Attacks short films, I want to see some good old-fashioned like Toho mayhem.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to go about this, because I feel like if they're going to do it to where he's like a standalone, you know, monster, he's the only one. I feel like the only way to do that without it just being like another, like, oh, we have to make it eerie and Godzilla's, you know, the same thing we've seen multiple times, is that they're going to really have to like nail the combat. Like we kind of briefly talked about this when we heard about like the setting and all that, of it being like the war in the Pacific and then there's Godzilla there. If it's going to be just Godzilla, I want to, you know, see like 10 warships that are all like firing their cannons and like a bunch of freaking mortar rounds and like howitzers and whatever they have, you know, not, I guess it'd be Japanese, so it wouldn't be that, but like, you know, whatever their artillery cannons are just firing at Godzilla. It needs to be like super intense. At least that's what I would like to see. Because like at the end of the day, how do you surpass Godzilla versus Kong's action if you don't have two monsters? Well, you just make it super bombastic.
And here's the thing: I actually want Godzilla to be smaller this time around, because he's been bigger and bigger, and it's been this like
we got to beat
dick measuring contest for the past. Yeah, we've got the biggest one now, and then we've got the biggest one now, and it's like, right, guys, if you've gone back to the 50s and you've got smaller buildings, you don't need to have a 600-foot Godzilla. Let's just have him be 150, 200 feet tall. Have him be smaller, more personal. He'd still be towering over all the buildings of Japan, so you know it's not making a difference to like the sheer scale of him.
I mean, he's still going to be a giant. It would just be nice to see just not a uber titan like 400-foot like ridiculous, like we can't comprehend him, there's nothing we can do to fight this thing, we're just like here living in this thing's world. But if it was a, you know, more classic like 150 feet, you could almost feel like we have a chance fighting against him if they go that just humankind versus Godzilla. So I agree with that. I'd like to see a more, you know, less just ridiculously huge Godzilla, because then you get more personal, like intimate interactions. Like you can actually see like our technology like kind of like hold him back a little bit, and like, you know, you can see him probably like staring at people more directly. Like he's gonna care more about humans, whereas like Monster vs. Godzilla or Shin Godzilla, they're just so huge, like they don't care. Like they're just like,
I'd like it to be more personal, because Shin Godzilla doesn't really know what's going on. He's kind of walking around, he's like constantly in pain, he like wants to die, but he can't die because he's constantly evolving. But I want this Godzilla to be knowing what's going on. He's like, I'm present, I'm conscious, I know what I'm doing. Godzilla is always going to be political. Like people say, I don't want politics in Godzilla films. Every Godzilla film is political. But I want this film to be perhaps a more human, like personal political story, if it's going to be anything. Because obviously Shin Godzilla was more literal about the politicians trying to figure out how to stop him, but I want people to kind of see the fallout of, you know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how Godzilla kind of reflects that. I want to see their perspective from their eyes, what this whole thing is doing to them. I want it to be a horror. That's what I want to be. I want it to be a horror, a political horror about Godzilla, political war horror about Godzilla.
Yeah, because I mean, just imagine, like that's a very rough time in humanity right after, you know, I don't even know if they're gonna like make this new Godzilla's origins be like derived from the bombs, you know, like, you know, that's always been the take, but maybe they'll do something different this time around. But like still, I think it'd be nice to like see a modern movie that, because everyone's afraid to do, you know, the bomb dropping, because it's a pretty serious topic.
Well, there was laws stopping them from doing it in the past, so this would probably be the most like direct like representation of the nuclear bomb origin that we'd ever seen from a Godzilla film, if they do it, you know, just after World War II stopped.
Yeah, it'd be a good chance to make people understand that Godzilla can be taken serious too, you know, like once again, Godzilla is a very serious at its heart, before they made it all goofy kid stuff back in the day. Like at its heart, it's very serious. There's a lot of, you know, I wouldn't even say politics is the right word. It's just like real world like crap that sucks that happens, you know, like it's political, everything's political, but I mean like it just needs to show like the true hardships of a situation like this. And if it shows post you know, atomic bombs in Japan, that would be cool to see, just because like everyone's so afraid to show it, and like using Godzilla kind of allows it to not become like, oh, I'm offended, like it's a Godzilla movie, like chill the hell out.
I think it makes sense with constant escalations with specific countries that are threatening to use nuclear bombs. So it makes a lot of sense to be like, remember how bad this was, guys? Can we not do this again?
Good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing right now.
And also for you watching, we know it's a G. We know the poster is a G. We're saying that it's stylized as Godzilla. It's not just a brushstroke. It didn't just type in G using a cool font. That is a stylized G for Godzilla, and it looks like Godzilla. And now questions for you, from you residents. So we're gonna take a little look at them and either answer them or just talk about them or discard them.
All right. Read me these.
I'm gonna read you the questions. First one from JC says, I'm actually hoping this is the start of the Godzilla cinematic universe Toho has been talking about. This might be the start of a new era for Godzilla. We agree. We just spoke about that. Very cool. Very exciting. And please, Toho, we exist. The UK exists. Like, they just did the whole Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, screenings across America. We got nothing. We got nothing. The only thing that we got was a restaurant that served some Godzilla ramen, which was delicious, but I wanted to see Godzilla on the big screen. Please, Toho.
Yeah, just
remember we
keep
exist.
giving it out there to the world. I will say something about that Godzilla cinematic universe that Toho is talking about. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. I think they thought about doing that, and then after the MonsterVerse is doing so good, and then seeing how Toho is kind of doing their thing, I feel like their whole cinematic world of Godzilla is literally just, getting out these short films, getting out these movies when they can, it's just pretty much bringing Godzilla to the forefront. I think that's what
maybe it's not necessarily a literal cinematic universe. It's more of a
just actually
like an idea for the brand.
Yeah, just make Godzilla available more, because realistically, up until about a few years ago, or until like the MonsterVerse started like really kicking in the popularity of Godzilla again, it was really hard to watch a Godzilla movie. Like,
it still is for me. We can't watch any of the Heisei or Millennium films.
Yeah, so like you have to go and find it, and it's really hard to find them. So like they've just made it so difficult to make Godzilla available out to the the main parts of the other parts of the world. So I think they're just kind of being like, hey, Godzilla, you're going to see him in the store more. You're going to see him in a random ramen place. You're going to see more.
Maybe that's Godzilla. Maybe that's why Legendary's been really quiet recently. Because maybe they've been talking to Toho.
Yeah, maybe they're just letting Toho kind of have some fun right now, because otherwise it doesn't make sense why they're not like talking about their number one franchise they have right now. So maybe they're just like, hey, because we know there's some weird laws and some weird issues going on there. So yeah,
right.
What's another
Next
question?
one is from Justin Cameron, and it says 2 words: flying turtle.
Oh, Gamera.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Gamera in a Godzilla film. It's unlikely, but considering that Gamera's just been like asleep for like 2 decades, I think it's time he come back. Whether it's this film or not, unlikely.
Probably
but
not.
Never say never. Next question is from Electric Avenue, and it says, make it a comedy horror.
No.
No, especially if you're talking about nuclear bombs, maybe not for a Japanese film. Theo says, time travel, Godzillasaurus, Godzilla's origins. Like I said, the G looks like a reverse arrow, and since the movie plays in the 40s, I hope time travel plays a thing. The possible title with Godzilla Zero also sounds like Zero being the very moment Godzilla becomes Godzilla. Yes, the title does indicate that it is like the 0 point, like literally before the start of Godzilla. I think the Godzilla looking an arrow is a bit of a stretch.
A lot of people are making all sorts of weird things with that little logo right there, that little design. Or like, the 0 makes sense because like, it looks like a G and it looks like Godzilla, but it also does look like a circle with everything. And the Japanese creators, they love to title their stuff something 0, like Resident Evil 0.
We already did time travel in Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, and I'd rather not do that again.
No.
That is one of my least favorite Godzilla films. That is very wacky. I know a lot of people like that one.
It's fun. Like it's probably the most like
it's fun, but it's
like,
ridiculous.
I think Godzilla needs something really serious right now. Like very like what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So.
Dominic says wants unique Godzilla, no recycled music or sound effects, make new roars and score, no Ghidorah, no Rodan, no Mothra, okay, maybe Mothra, original kaiju, make it heartbreaking like the original or Destroyer, and as many practical effects as possible.
Yes to all of that.
I think that's quite likely.
Yes to all of that. That's a good idea. What was his,
I'd like to see a new monster, if anything.
Yeah, like that take right there. Thank you for that, whoever that was. That's what I'd like to see with this. Just, it makes sense, and I loved how they pointed out how like no reused assets. Toho loves to reuse assets.
Yeah, I know you talked about that. It's tradition to use some of the sound effects, cool, but it's quite jarring when you switch from an old one to a new one. It's like stick to a specific one.
Yeah, like they just, like, I get it, like you pay tribute. I love the old sounds in the old movies, but when you have your modern, like sleek little sexy CGI and all that, and then you hear a I mean, it's not bad. It's just like it's forever old, you know. So it doesn't make sense with the nice crisp modern sound effects to have something that sounds like it was recorded on like something someone was cranking.
Yeah, I think all of those things are quite likely, outside of maybe the fact there's going to be probably recycled music and sound effects. Like, you know, it's Toho. We know they're going to do it.
It's Toho.
I would like to see a new monster, though. If we're going to have any monster in the film, I want it to be a new one, because Toho's been recycling the same monsters for a long time. They've got great designers there, great artists, and I want to see them make something new and weird, something from the Heisei or Showa era, like something that you could imagine being there but modernized and new. Please give us something new. Our next tweet is from Godzilla Fan 1954. To be completely honest, I want to see Godzilla work together with humanity to fight a kaiju that's too strong to fight alone. Maybe even have Godzilla work with Kiryu. Would you want Godzilla to work with humanity at all?
There's too much of Godzilla being like our friendly neighborhood hero going on right now. It'd be nice to see just Godzilla being Godzilla again, you know.
Especially if it's in one film. If it's in one film, it's going to be really hard to kind of go from a new monster to let's work with him.
Yeah, so like if this is a standalone, I don't see how that works. I love the idea of Godzilla working together. I mean, the Godzilla animated series, which is 100% that, is one of my favorite Godzilla experiences out of all of them, and I love just seeing like him work together with humans. Like it's the perfect combo, you know. We're have the power of this big giant death dragon more or less to do our dirty work. It's the perfect dream that we all want to have, you know.
Yeah, and if it's set in the 1940s or 50s, we're not going to have Mechagodzilla in it. Probably nothing. It'll probably be very gritty, down to earth, probably bare bones. Like, I don't even know what weaponry they would have had in the 50s. Some kind of artillery, you know, aircrafts and stuff.
World War II.
Yeah.
Big old bunker busting bombs.
Probably the threat of Americans dropping another bomb. That would probably be quite likely. The next question, J0560 says, Monster Island. Yeah?
We could see
we get Monster Island?
I'm cool with that.
We haven't had a Monster Island for a while.
I'm cool with that.
And the final question is from James Aaron, and it says, is it Godzilla vs. Kong 2? And the answer is no. Thanks, residents, for watching today's video. What do you want to see in Godzilla Zero? That's what the rumored title is. If you like this video, then give it a like, because it lets us know what you want to see more of. Subscribe if you want to, and stomp the notification button so you can become a resident of DangerVille today. I've been Alastair, and who have you been?
Me.
Alastair and me. Lord Dangerville.
Okay.
And we'll see you, residents, in the next